Hi, this is Enthusiastic Steve, and you join me on this dreary, damp morning where I'm going to go out hillside and test a Frankenstein antenna. Yes, Frankenstein. It's a VHF collinear antenna that I've built based on a Super J-pole collinear design. First time in trying it out on the hill. I've just done some experimentation in the back garden up to now with it, but I'm going to take it out, see if I can get some calls, just see if it performs or not, take some measurements on the VSWR, and then we'll return and we'll come back to somewhere a little bit warmer because it's quite chilly and damp this morning, and I'll run through the design and explain to you how it's made. Therefore you can have an experiment and make one and try one yourself. So, Enthusiastic Steve going out to test the Frankenstein collinear Super J-pole antenna. And as it says, I'm not a mad scientist, just enthusiastic. So we've arrived at the location, Portsdown Hill, which overlooks the Solent. I'm actually parked by something called, you've seen it before in some of my other videos, the Nelson's Monument. It's got Lord Nelson at the top, which overlooks the Solent and Portsmouth Harbour, which if we swing round, there's a Fort Nelson in the background. We've got a field where we're going to operate from just there, and it overlooks the land into Gosport and Portsmouth, and in the distance you can see the Isle of Wight across the Solent. So that's the operating conditions. We're about 250 to 300 feet above sea level here. It's about the biggest bump we have. I don't call it, it's called a hill, it's more of a bump, but that's where we'll be operating from today. Now to carry all the bits down to the field, we've got a extending mast, and we've got a little tabletop to assist with placing the radio on. And there goes the pole. And then in the boot we've got a nice big bag of goodies. Got the antenna, the radio, a portable battery, some tie wraps I'll show you later. Very useful things. Looks like I've picked a little bit of a muddy, wet morning. There's the gate. We're going to go through there and operate from that bench. Now these are the little tie wrap things. I call them tie wraps as they are. They're wire, but they're encompassed in foam, and you can bend them. They're quite bendy. I'll just bend one there. And the idea is then you can put your pole against something, wrap this around the pole, and it will fasten it and secure it. It's very strong. It should hold a pole no problem. We use a couple of these, and they're only £1.50 for a pair. And I've got these in the local range store. Other stores and providers do sell them. So worth a try, guys. And there we have it. There's the pole against the metal fence, tied on with the little tie wrap there, and it's very secure. This is the Frankenstein antenna. This is where the coax cable goes in. This is the matching stub area. I'll also explain what I've done with this a little bit later. So the antenna is now up on the mast. There's the mast there. It's approximately about 27 feet to the top. There we go. See the actual antenna up there. Now it's a little bit cold and chilly up here today. I didn't quite expect it to be this cold. It's about 6 degrees with wind chill, and it's very damp. Now, why have I made this Frankenstein antenna? Well, simply put, it's a VHF antenna. This particular one was made for the 4 meter band, 70 megahertz here in the UK. Other countries use 4 meters as well, but at the moment commercially there is not a collinear antenna out there for 4 meters. There are many antennas out there, collinears, the white sticks for 2 meters and 77s, but nothing for the 4 meters as I speak. So manufacturers, pull your fingers out. Let's organise something, arrange something, manufacture one, because the community is crying out for a collinear with a bit more gain. Now, what this design is, basically, it's just a SlimJim antenna, which has its own, in its own rights, is a good antenna. All we've done is added a delay line and added a top section as well. Now, why a collinear? What's the advantage of a collinear over a quarter wave or something like a 5/8? Well, along the length of the antenna, the RF transmission starts to repeat itself. Now if you've got the delay correct, that repeat of the transmission from that antenna will go out in phase and constructively add to the first RF sine wave transmission. So therefore it boosts the signal. They go out in phase, creating a double kind of a strengthened wave, and it takes it out lower to the horizon, which will hopefully give you extended range. So that's the advantage of a collinear, main advantage of a collinear over a standard 5/8 wave or a quarter wave. If you've got the delay slightly out, of course, you're not going to get such a dramatic effect. But we'll try and we'll see. And like I say, we'll explain the design of this antenna when I get back somewhere warm. But let's go on air, and I'm just going to put some live calls out now to see if anyone actually hears me and comes back. Right, the antenna is up and connected. I've got it connected down through my Hanson SWR power meter. There's the radio there, set at 10 watts. And what we're going to do is just measure the SWR. The SWR, this is the first time I've done it actually up high up on the pole. So let's set the things to low power, reference, and see how far off we are. Right, we're going to just try and do this one-handed, so it's a little bit tricky, but we're going to get there. We'll put it onto set, make sure, try and get it as even as I can with one finger doing it. Almost there. Come on, come on. Oh, too far. Ooh, it's too far. This is tricky. Tricky doing it one-handed and holding the camera, but we will get there. There you go. Right, let's switch it over. Reflective power, see what we're getting. That's not too bad, is it? 1 to 1.2 and a bit, 1 to 1.2 and a half, and a full 10 watts almost just going out the transmitter into the antenna. So looks good. Let's try it on air. Mike 6 Whiskey Victor Victor. This is Mike 6 Whiskey Victor Victor. Out portable, calling CQ. Anybody out there this morning? This is Mike 6 Whiskey Victor Victor calling CQ from atop Portsdown Hill. Standing by. Calling CQ on 70450. This is Mike 6 Whiskey Victor Victor. Mike 6 Whiskey Victor Victor calling CQ. Standing by for any calls. CQ. This is Mexico 6 or Mike 6 Whiskey Victor Victor. Mike 6 Whiskey Victor Victor. Calling out on 70450 for any calls this damp grey February morning. Top of Portsdown Hill portable. Mike 6 Whiskey Victor Victor. Standing by for any calls. This is Mike 6 Whiskey Victor Victor. Desperate for any calls now. It's getting so cold up here. Anybody out there this morning can hear me, like to come back quickly for a quick radio test check. This is a Mike 6 Whiskey Victor Victor portable atop of Portsdown Hill, standing by for any calls. Thank you very much.
G3ZBP, you getting that all okay? Not a very strong signal for up on top of Portsdown to me. I'm down in Portsmouth. I've forgotten the call sign there. Whiskey Victor Victor, portable G3ZBP.
Yeah, G3ZBP, I do appreciate you coming back. Thank you very much. I'm just come up here to test out an antenna. It's a collinear. It's probably putting the signal out over the top of Portsmouth, to be honest, because I'm higher up. A quarter wave or 5/8 wave would probably get you better today. But no, you're lighting up all the signal bars on my radio, so it's receiving very well indeed. Hopefully you're well, all good this morning. And as I say, appreciate you coming back to my call. Mike 6 Whiskey Victor Victor G3ZBP.
Yeah, Mike 6 Whiskey Victor Victor, portable G3ZBP. You're all okay? You're only 5 and 5 with me, and normally people, I'm not sure whereabouts you are on Portsdown Hill. That would affect the signal as well, more than the antenna. But even with a 5/8, you would be squirting a nice strong signal down here. So you might be shielded to me. Not quite sure whereabouts you are on Portsdown Hill. Martins, about halfway up the eastern side of Portstein Hill, and using a half-wave end-fed dipole, but that's mated in the loft at the moment. M6 Whiskey Victor Victor G3 ZBP.
Yeah, Mike 6 Whiskey Victor Victor returning. Thank you very much there indeed. Yeah, I'm up by Fort Nelson actually, Fort Nelson, and I'm alongside the monument. Maybe the monument is have some effect in your general direction, but no, it's your I can't from your signal is 100% clear, full signal into my radio as well. So say your signal seems to be coming up nicely up until my raised location, and I should imagine my signal is going over the top of Portsmouth, because it's I'm experimenting with a Collinear homemade and Collinear antenna, and that should put out the signal quite horizontal, so it's probably better for longer distance contacts than more mid-range ones, let's just say. Yeah, I'm just recording a little bit on this on video just to try it and see what it sounds like later, etc. So I hope that's okay with you. As a receiving antenna, it's working very well indeed. Now I know we're on the calling channel before other people moan that I'm on the calling channel, but I've been calling out for ages. There's nobody around at the moment. The morning net has been and gone, I believe.
See if you can wake anybody else up on 4 meters. M6WVV portable G3 ZBP.
Yeah, M6 Whiskey Victor Victor portable G3 ZBP. I do appreciate you coming back and say thank you very much indeed. Have a great day. Hopefully being on 450 to attract some attention. Somebody might be out there now listening. So I appreciate your call. I'll say 73s to you, and I'll just pull out one final call because I'm getting very cold and damp up here on the hill. It's a lot chillier than I expected. So thank you very much indeed. This is Mike Sitz Whiskey Victor Victor portable Portsdown Hill, testing out an antenna. Is anybody else out there like to call in?
Cheers, G3 ZBP.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate your call. Right, one final call. This is Mike Sitz Whiskey Victor Victor portable, top of Portsdown Hill. Still very cold and chilly and muddy. Anybody else out there like to give me a quick call? Mike Sitz Whiskey Victor Victor portable. Thank you very much.
Mike 6 Whiskey Victor Victor portable G7 RSD. I can just about hear you, Steve.
G7 RSD. Good morning to you. Well, at least I'm getting out to you. That's a bonus. Say I think I've got Nelson's monument in between me and you, general direction. I've got a large lump. I'm actually got the antenna attached to the fence on the circumference of the actual signal 4. 2 blocks on here, which represents signal 4. So you're coming through loud and clear, very little background noise. So appreciate the quick call back. Mike 6 Whiskey Victor Victor.
G7 RSD, yep. You're kind of in the noise, Steve. I mean, fully readable, but not moving the needle. But then in saying that, I've changed radios lately, you know, in the last couple of weeks. And this radio, the S-meter reads a lot lower. I wouldn't go by the S-meter reading, Steve. The fact is I can hear you from G7 RSD.
Yeah, G7 RSD, Mike 6 Whiskey Victor Victor Victor. Well, you came up to a 5 then, signal 5. No, your audios are actually lovely and loud. Lovely clear audio to me. I'm in a different location. I know when I normally come up the hill, I'm in the car. I'm just kind of gone around the corner a bit from that. So it might make the difference. Plus, it's an experimental. I'm just recording this a little bit on video because I'm playing with an experimental antenna. It's a Collinear. Again, it may be working, it may not. I've got a very good VSWR, but which doesn't necessarily mean it's all in phase. So, and I think it's pumping out the signal to the horizon. So again, it's working, and it does seem to receive it as a receiving antenna. It's fantastic. M6 Whiskey Victor Victor portable back to G7 RSD.
G7 RSD returning. Yeah, all good stuff, Steve. Yeah, nice one. Steve, all the best there, and I'll catch you again soon from G7 RSD.
Yeah, G7 RSD, thank you very much. Anyway, I do appreciate the call back. I'm going to probably make this my last now because at least I know the antenna works. It probably needs a little bit more tweaking. and it's like all these antennas, isn't it? When I tried the SlimJim out up here before, I was finding the SlimJim antenna was better than a 5/8 wave up to about 25 miles, and then the 5/8 wave worked better up to about 40 miles. And I think it could be the case with this one. This antenna works better at longer distance, right to the horizon, because it's putting out such a shallow angle of RF. And they say other stations possibly a little bit weaker than they would be on a 5/8, but I'm hearing you loud and clear. It's really pulling you in strongly. I just need to do something about the transmit just to try and boost that a little bit, and that could be just a slight phasing issue. I might just have to change the delay slightly on the antenna. Appreciate you coming back. I'll make this my final. So this is Mike 6 Whiskey Victor Victor Portable saying 73s to you. Thanks very much to Dean for coming back at G7 RSD.
Yeah, cheers Steve. Nice one. Yeah, all good fun playing the aerials. It's about one of the only few things left with amateur radio that we can do now, isn't it? Everything else is a sealed up black box that you can't do anything with. Not without a microscope and I don't know what. But yeah, the antennas are the one thing they can't stop us playing with. Cheers Steve, 73 G7 RSD.
Yeah, G7 RSD, I appreciate the call coming back, and everybody this morning who's joined in. So thank you very much indeed. This is Mike 6 Whiskey Victor Victor Portable. I'll be standing by for another 2 minutes or so if anybody wants to call, but then I'm going to go wrap up and get warm and go back home and have a cup of coffee. So I appreciate everybody that's come back. 73's all. This is Mike 6 Whiskey Victor Victor standing by on 704. If you're not familiar with the J-pole type design, have a look on the internet. There's a lot of information on there describing how they work. There's an example of a J-pole, half wave with a quarter wave matching unit at the bottom. And there are other variants as well. You can see here from these diagrams from the internet, there's a J-pole design on the left, the SlimJim, which is similar, but it's now like a folded over trombone, the Super J-pole with a quarter wave delay halfway up, and the Collinear J-pole, which I built, the Frankenstein, with the 0.2 wavelength inductor halfway up. And this is an antenna plot comparing those 4 antennas, and as you can see, the Super J-pole does tend to get out very well, especially to the horizon. So let's take a closer look at this matching stub, which is at the base of the antenna. Now, it's made like an ordinary SlimJim antenna. That's because basically that's all it is, just extended. Now normally the bottom of the ladder line, you'll keep it running parallel, and you'd cut back the insulation and just attach the coax cable, maybe solder it onto the actual leads themselves. You can move it up and down slightly to actually find out where the best impedance 50 ohm match is. Well, that has limitations, it's a little bit fiddly, but I did have going spare this dipole sensor. So what I did is I spread out the ladder line, attached the dipole sensor, put some washers on the end, use a couple of bolts with some nuts, and this way I can actually loosen the nuts and slide it up and down to actually get a perfect or near perfect match. I also found, whilst experimenting, that once I got almost a perfect match, changing the length of the bolts, I started off with some smaller, shorter bolts. By adding slightly longer bolts, this also affected the impedance and actually got it matched a little bit closer. Now it looks like Frankenstein's neck. Hence I started calling it Frankenstein antenna, because also it's a huge antenna. It's a 4 meter antenna band for the 4 meter band, but it's over 12 feet long. The matching stub section at the base, followed by a half wave, followed by a 0.2 of a wave, a delay coil, followed by another half wave section. Now the delay coil is round about 0.2 of a wavelength, so less than quarter wave. Now because it is in a coil, it produces inductance, and because you've got velocity factors involved, that's why it's 2.2 of a wavelength and not quarter wave, because it will affect the inductance, and the velocity factor will basically make it think it's a quarter wave as far as the aerial is concerned. So this will delay the phase, and then you continue on up to the top of the antenna with the wire of half wavelength. So you've got half wave at the top in basically an electrically quarter wave delay, followed by the other half wave at the bottom, and then you've got the quarter wave stub at the bottom, which is your impedance matching. That part doesn't actually transmit, and you can actually bend that at 90 degrees to the rest of the antenna. It makes no difference. Now this delay, this is the important part. This is the phasing. If you get this wrong, like I said earlier, it will affect the performance of the antenna. Now, no idea at the moment if this is quite correct or not. From a VSWR point of view, it does demonstrate it's working fairly well. Well, at least the VSWR, I'm not getting any very little reflected energy back because I'm very close to resonance. The fact that it hears stations very well, and that antennas are meant to be reciprocal, that they normally transmit as well as they receive, I don't think we're far off. The only reason I think we're getting slightly weaker, maybe a little weak, it appears to be with the two stations I spoke to this morning, that they are slightly weaker than, I'm getting to them a little bit weaker than I would do normally with another antenna from that location, is the fact that it's the RF pattern that this is producing. I think this is pushing out a very near to the horizon, horizontal narrow beam of RF. That's what it's designed to do. It doesn't spread out as well. So if the others stations were further lower down below me, my RF signal was basically going over, a lot of it is going over the top. It's a shame we never got a station over 30, nearly 40 miles away, because I think that would be where this antenna would come into its own. It would be firing out RF beyond the horizon, out to the radio horizon, and bringing in stations there and being heard very strongly. I think more local contacts, it's not as good as possibly a quarter wave or 5/8 wave. I think 5/8 wave is still my own personal choice of antenna, though a standard SlimJim works just as well, or as well. Have a look at one of my previous videos, guys, because I showed you there a SlimJim, and it works better than a 5/8 antenna up to about 26 miles out, but then it doesn't work as well as the 5/8 beyond that. Very strange indeed, but it's all down to the RF pattern, and it's all down to the fact your location. At the time I was transmitting, like today, from a higher location, and the stations I was receiving were all from lower down. So their stations, the signals were coming up from their antennas, and I was picking up lovely loud and clear. My signals were generally going over the top of them. But that's antennas, that's experimentation. I'm not a mad scientist, like I say, just enthusiastic. But that's the Frankenstein antenna. Scalable, of course. This is a 4 meter version. It does get quite big, but there's no reason you couldn't do a 6 meter one, 2 meter one, 77s one, even a 10 or maybe a 12 meter one is possible. So that was the 4 meter Frankenstein Super J-pole collinear antenna. Experimental. It still needs a little bit of work by the looks of it, but we're not far off. So again, just get out there and experiment. Have a play with the bits of wire and see what you can make. You'll be surprised at what you can actually achieve. So thanks again for watching. This has been Enthusiastic Steve saying 73s. All the very best. Please click the old like button. It does help with the old YouTube algorithms. And please click subscribe so you're made aware of when new videos are going to come out. Have a look over my catalogue of videos. There's many out there. There's something for everybody. So I'll say again, thank you very much. Thank you to all those who have subscribed to me already. Thank you for all those who keep sending me comments. And I'll get back to most of you, or all of you, as I can. So all the very best. This has been Enthusiastic Steve saying 73s and cheers. And as it says, I'm not a mad scientist, just enthusiastic.